Om Vakradunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada Om Bhagavate Shri Swaminarayanaya Namaha Shri Sajananda Swami Maharajaya Namaha Shri Hari Krishna Maharajaya Namaha Om Dhyanamulam Gurur Murti Mantramulam Gurur Vakyam Pujamulam Gurur Padam Mokshamulam Gurur Krupa Gunatita Vaksharam Brahma Bhagavan Purushottamah Jano Janandidam Satyam Uchyate Bhavabandhanat. Welcome to SwaminarayanSpirituality.com. This talk is in English. This is the second talk on the link between Advaita Vedanta and Vachanamrut. To continue from last recording, I want to first offer my respects, my obeisance and prostrations to all the great sages and to the Supreme Lord for blessings. Along these lines, on Advaita Vedanta and Vachanamrut, today I want to discuss about the Atma. Because to really understand this link, we have to go carefully, sequentially, and very, very attentively to see what is the proper linkage between the non-dualistic, expansive tradition of Advaita Vedanta and what Bhagwan Swaminarayan, or who is known as Sri Swaminarayan Bhagwan Sajanand Swami Maharaj, what is his perspective on this? What is his Vedantic angle, or what is his Vedantic realization and exposition? So first of all, please remember that there is no intention on my part to criticize anybody. I am not attempting to show superiority of one versus another or any such thing. This is an attempt on my part, by the grace of all the great sages, to expound upon the original teachings of Sri Vachanamrutam as it is, without distortion or dilution, and to present the teaching, the Updesha of Sajanand Swami as it is, to the best of my ability. That is my prayer. That is my request to all of you to please keep that in mind. There is no attempt to criticize any forms of Vedanta, anybody in this world, no sages, no particular traditions, no specific guru paramparas, no scriptures. Sachin doesn't criticize anybody. I can simply show you what the teachings are, give you my perspective, and it is my humble request and prayer that you reflect yourself and consider these ideas very carefully and reflectively, and enter into dialogue, into a exploration with me. You're welcome to do that with others also, as you see fit. So first of all, before we can even really get into that deeper level of the link between Advaita Vedanta and Vachanamrut, which I have started talking about, the notion of the Atma needs to be talked about first. When we use the word Atma, what is that? So it begins with basic question, who am I? Now, if we go through the lineage and the history of Sanatana Dharma, we find that sages, rishis, munis, sannyasis, and others also, kings also, who were very evolved once they started meditation, there is a realization of who I am. So in Vachanamrut, Sajanand Swami, in Garada Pratham 20, has emphatically stated that the person who is Agnani is the one who doesn't realize the self, the Atma. This is Vachanamrut Garada Pratham 20, Agnaninu in Gujarati. So Gnan and Agnan, what is the difference between the two? Agnan is the identification with the three bodies, physical, subtle, causal, Sthul, Sukshma, Karana. What they are, what is the meaning behind them? We have discussed that in other places. It is also in the Energy and Satsang podcast that I have tried to explain. And as I do the exposition of Vachanamrut, it will become more and more clear. But the fact is that the Atma Tattva, Atma, of course it's a word. The word is not the actual thing. We understand that. The word is a representation of something. All languages of that type. The exception is actually Sanskrit language. It is more in connection with the vibrational nature of Prakriti. But I don't want to open that discussion here. All we are saying right now is that the realization of who am I, that realization is called Atma Sakshatkar. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind. In the history of Sanatana Dharma, we have the Upanishads. There are predominantly 108 Upanishads. There's actually more than that, but these are the predominant one. Out of them, there are 10 major Upanishads, or sometimes 11. The entire teaching of the Upanishad, mostly the Upanishads are teaching that you are beyond the three bodies, physical, subtle, causal. You are this consciousness that is the Atma, that is Sat Chit Ananda, and that Satchidananda is also the same as that super consciousness or the Nirakara Brahma, formless Brahman, that which is impersonal Brahman. So let's understand this carefully. The Upanishadic teachings are not talking in most of their language about any personal deity, personal God, any kind of a particular form of God necessarily, although there is reference to Parabrahma and all that in some different way, which I don't want to get into here. The interpretation of the Upanishad is from the point of view of Vachanamrut is done by a highly learned scholar and saint in the BAPS organization known as Bhadresh Swami. He has written a whole bhasyam on the Vedanta of Bhagwan Swaminarayan. So I don't even want to go into that right now. All I want to mention and present here is that the Upanishads are talking about realizing who you are. It is not about concepts, and it's not about philosophy. It's not about debates. It's not about even just an intellectual fascination about who am I. Like in Western philosophy, there is so much fascination about, is there mind and is there soul? And there's all kinds of intellectual debates, mostly in Western philosophy. They're there in the Eastern also, but those debates are not what we're talking about. Atma Sakshatkar is beyond all debates. Debates are good to some extent if they promote wisdom and growth. Otherwise, they are just an intellectual back and forth people just get egos involved in that, and that's the end of it. That basically destroys spirituality. So that is not what we're talking about. Atma Sakshatkar. Sakshatkar means actual realization. It is different from Atmanishta and Atma Bhav. These are a little bit different words. In Vachanamrut, Sajanand Swami has again and again mentioned about Atmanishta. And he has also mentioned about Atma Sakshatkar. So Atmanishta is a developed idea about the fact that I am the Atma, or about the possibility that I am the Atma. So keep this in mind. It is a belief. Nishta means belief, means strong conviction. All right, that conviction can come by contact with sages, which is what the Upanishad is all about. It begins with Atmanishta. That a disciple, one who is a mumukshu, goes to an enlightened master, sits at the feet. That is what the word Upanishad means. Upanishad means to sit at the feet of the enlightened master and to gain that wisdom through the lips, through the teachings. And that awakening occurs. Oh, I am this Brahman. That's what the Upanishads are about. So the realization of who am I, that is called Atma Sakshatkar. Now, what is needed for that? So, if you look at the tradition of Sanatana Dharma, in the ancient times, there were no temples. There was no worship of incarnations, and as far as we know. What do we have? We have people meditating in forests and in mountains and in natural places. And the gurus are sitting in what are called ashrams. These are meditation centers. They're meditation centers for discovering higher reality. Now, in the depths of their meditation, the mind becomes very still, very silent, very clear, very pure. And they develop many techniques for allowing that to be, or getting into that state. Then the discovery occurred of the Atma. And the discovery occurred of this infinite consciousness that is called Akshara Brahma. Or some glimpse of that. Let's put it this way. That is Ek Ras Nirakar Akshara. It is, so in Vachanamrut, Garada Pratham number 27, Vachanamrut, it is very, very clear what Maharaj has mentioned there. That in Gujarati I'll say it and then I will then translate for you. Ek to nirakar ekras chaitanya che, tene chidakash kahiye, Brahma mohol kahiye. This is one of the forms of Akshara Brahma. So Maharaj is talking about two swarup. He said in Gujarati, he said that there are two forms. कि अक्षरधाम ने पामे छे. He said कि ए अक्षरना बे स्वरूप छे. In Gujarati is written. एक तो निराकार एकरस चैतन्य छे, तेने चिदाकाश. So that nirakar ekras means what? It is one without a second. It is present everywhere. It is present in everything. This is called ekras chaitanya. Chaitanya means what? What does the word Chaitanya means? It means alive. That's the life force. That's the living power. So that is one meaning. It can also mean conscious. It can also mean the fact that it is the enlivening principle in Prakriti. So the Akshara Brahma that has this Nirakar Swarup, that Nirakar Swarup is what, or that Nirakar reality, that infinite consciousness, the absolute consciousness. In Advaita Vedanta, it is called the Brahman. It is called the one without a second, the one that is unparalleled. It is called that by all of those different names and all of those different types of explanations. So it is a discovery of the self. This is the whole point, that the time of the Upanishad was such that Shankaracharya ji himself, after the Upanishads were written, of course, because Shankaracharya ji came from 1788 to 820. I'm sorry, I'm saying that incorrectly. From 788 to 820 AD was the time of his manifestation. And he has written commentary on the 10 major Upanishads, and that is Isha Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, Prashna Upanishad, Mundakya Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, Aitreya Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, Brihadranakya Upanishad. I may not be saying that right. That is spelled BrhadaranYaka. I'll have to check the pronunciation on that. So these are his commentaries. And the Isha Upanishad embodies in its very opening verse the central theme of all the Upanishads. That is the spiritual unity and solidarity of all existence. So let's understand this point clearly. The Isha Upanishad is talking about the spiritual unity and solidarity of all of existence. What does that mean? That is what Maharaj is talking about in this Garada number 21 Vachanamrut, where Maharaj is saying that in Akshara Brahma has this Nirakar Swarup, and that is Ekras Chaitanya, and it is Brahma Mol, it is Chidakash. Chidakash, see, Maharaj is putting just in few words here the entire Upanishadic knowledge. This is the beauty of this, that the spiritual unity of all of existence is the Upanishadic realization. That is what Shriji Maharaj is not denying that. Remember, he is accepting all of that. But he's going to talk about something beyond that, and this is where the difficulty begins. The difficulty begins when Maharaj and other acharyas, also like Ramanujacharya and others, who say that there is Bhagwan or God that is beyond this Nirakara Akshar. Now that seems like a shocking statement. Like, how can there be something beyond the infinite? How can there be such a thing? Our mind cannot imagine that, cannot understand that. So this is not understandable just using logic, using our level of logic. It is understandable in terms of the fact that the srishti that we see, the evolution that we see, the forms that are coming out of Prakriti, these forms are present and are within the experience of each jiva. So Anek Jivavad is Vishishtadvait and the Brahma Vishishtadvait. But Eka Jivavad is Advaita Vedanta. In Advaita, there is no concept that there are multiplicity of souls, multiplicity of jiva. That is not there in Advaita Vedanta. Why is it not there? Let's understand, because we need to understand Advaita as clearly as possible. Advaita means one without a second. So if you say that there are infinite number of jiva, like the ant has a separate soul, and Sachin has a separate soul, and somebody else has a separate soul, and the tree has a separate soul, that is called Aneka Jivavad. But Eka Jivavad means what? That there's only one Brahman that is appearing. Now the analogy that is given in Advaita is that it's a very good analogy. If you have the sun, we have the sun, and if you have 1,000 pots, some pots have mud in them, some pots have different substances, but every pot has water. Some pots have only clear water, some pots have muddy water, like that. But every pot is going to have a reflected sun. So how many suns are there really? Can we say there's 1,000 suns? It seems like that in one sense, that each pot has a different sun. But what Advaita Vedanta is saying, that no, it is not a different sun. There's actually only one sun. It is reflected inside the pots of water. So Advaita is saying that there is the one supreme Akshara Brahma that is non-dual, just like what Maharaj is saying, that the Ekaras Chaitanya Chidakash. Chidakash means conscious space, and everything is, and that Akshara Brahma is the substratum. It is within that Akshara Brahma that infinite universes come and go. Ananda Gaudi Brahmanda, they come and go like bubbles. So this coming and going of the universes, now it seems like there's two different things. There's the universes and the coming and going, and then there is the consciousness, the Akshara Brahma, the one without a second, absolute consciousness that is talked about. So the Isha Upanishad, in its very opening verse, is talking about spiritual unity and solidarity of all of existence. You see, so meaning what? The fact that everything that exists, trees, plants, houses, chairs, tables, human beings, galaxies, everything that is within the perception, the purview of the senses, is nothing but the Brahman in a different form. It is nothing but Akshara Brahma. That's all it is. That's what Advaita is saying. It is an illusion. That's what it says. Advaitic masters, when they reached Nirvikalpa Samadhi is where the names and forms vanish. Through Ashtanga Yoga, Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi, when you get to Samadhi, all of the world of names and forms is gone from the mind, because the mind and the brain are no longer accessing the usual sensory stimuli, and it is accessing something beyond the three states of experience of Jagrat, Swapna, Shushupti, Avastha, waking, dream, deep sleep states. It goes beyond that. That is called Turiya. So that Turiya Avastha, in that state, one can actually see, or I'm putting the word see in quotation, it is realization of the self as the self that was always there, that is always there. That self, that Atma Tattva, it says, oh, I am this. Soham. See, I am Atma Brahma, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. The Mahavakyas in the Upanishad are spoken by the rishis in the relative world that are indicating the oneness of the Jeev and the Brahman. The word Brahman means what? Brahma or Brahman we can say also. It means that it is unending reality, vast, unending, 10 to infinity in every direction, beyond space, beyond time. It is called Chidakash. Chidakash means conscious space. Space, not this Bhautik Akash. In fact, in Vachanamrut Garada number 47, amazing things are done in Vachanamrut. In Vachanamrut Garada number 47, Pratham 47, Akash ni Sankoch Vikas Avastha. This physical space, it contracts and expands. It's there, but it contracts and expands. The Chidakash doesn't contract and expand. So the Chidakash, what is Chidakash? To thoroughly understand the glory of Chidakash, we would have to go through Yoga Vashishta. It is a high-level Vedantic scripture. It is a discourse between Bhagwan Ramchandra Ji and his Guru Vishishta Muni. Now, whether that discourse actually occurred at that time, nobody knows. But that teaching is tremendous. That teaching is where Ramchandraji is given instruction by Vishishta Muni on this Chidakash. This word Chidakash comes again and again and again. It's all about that Chidakash. It's all about when Maharaj is using the word Chidakash in Vachanamrut Garada number 21, to understand that one word, one would have to be proficient in Yoga Vashishta. What in the world is meant by Chidakash? Right? So Chidakash is where there is this Advaitic realization that, my God, of the rishis, that there is this one vast consciousness. Millions of galaxies are coming and going. Different lokas are coming and going. Millions of Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva are coming and going. This is written in the Yoga Vashishta. So when we study Yoga Vashishta, we recognize, we can see the musings of the sages from that time, that they were so far beyond this material world in their internal meditation that they came upon this Nirakar, Ekras, Chaitanya, Akshara Brahma. They came upon that reality. Now, is that the end? See, this is the glory of Vachanamrutam. Not because I'm trying to promote Vachanamrut over other scriptures. It's not anything like that. It is an attempt to present Sajanand Swami and his teachings, his realization, or his how can I say, his tattvik updesh as it is. So from a tattva point of view, Sajanand Swami is starting where all of these scriptures have stopped. That is the power of Vachanamrut. And I'm making that statement objectively. I can show it based on scriptures. We can also understand it in comparative study. Of course, that is an intellectual exercise, no doubt. Anubhav is a different matter. We will be talking about that. But the fact is, the Upanishads are speaking about, the Isha Upanishad specifically is talking about spiritual unity. Unity, of course, it has to be unity because the Nirakara Akshara is holding everything within it. And if we consider ourselves as Atmanishta, that I am the Brahman, that's called Brahmanishta, Atmanishta, Brahmanishta, then automatically Raga, Dvesha, Ahankar, all of these problems of the human condition immediately fall away. They fall away completely. They fall away totally. That is the beautiful point. Now the Kena Upanishad is going to illumine the nature of knowledge by pointing out the eternal knower behind all acts of knowing. Meaning what? The knower is the Jnata, the one who is knowing, the one who is seeing, the one who is experiencing. If I say that, okay, I see a tree, I see something, we're calling it a tree, okay, that's a name given, but who is seeing that? So the Kena Upanishad is asking the question, who? Kena Upanishad illumines through its Updesha, through its teachings, the nature of knowledge, meaning Gnan. Which Gnan is this? The nature of the experience of the world, the Gnan Indriya, through the sense organs. It is the knower. It is talking about the knower. That is, the Atma is the witness. What does Sajanand Swami say about this? He says, absolutely that is there. No, you will see Maharaj is not in disagreement with any of this. Maharaj is saying, of course. And in fact, there are multiple places in Vachanamrut where this is talked about. That the Atma is the Sakshi. It is the witness. It is the knower. It is the Kshetragnya. Chapter 13 in the Bhagavad Gita is Kshetragnya Yoga. Even in the Gita, you see this throughout. Kshetragnya means the knower of the Kshetra. What is the Kshetra? The field. That is the body. The body, mind, senses, subtle body, the external world also. All of that is what? Kshetra. So the realization of the me is what the Upanishads are aiming towards. But how does a person realize that? So you will notice that in the Upanishad, mostly in the Upanishads, and so many paramparas that came afterwards are all talking about this oneness of the Atma and the Brahman. Now, that oneness of the Atma is always there. It's not that it came from later on sometime. That's another point. Let's understand Advaita carefully. The oneness of the Atma and the Brahman is always there. It's not that Sachin is going to gain the Atma from something. It's not like that. I am that I am. I have misidentified myself with the world of Prakriti. So what the Advaitic masters stated, and even state today, that once that awakening happens, once you are awakened, Jagrut, once you are awakened to the reality, Nijatmanam Brahmarupam, once you have awakened to that reality, in that awakening, all of the limitations of the mind fall away. The mind still remains in the world of Prakriti, but the ignorance is gone, Ajnan is gone. So what is gone? What is the difference? The realization of who I am as opposed to who I thought I was. So when I realize who I am, what is my state of realization? That is Ananda. I am Sat Chit Ananda. Truth, consciousness, bliss. The truth of who I am is revealed to me. It's revealed to me through the grace of the great sages. So now, if you ask the question, how did the one Brahman get into Ajnan? So what Advaita states is that the one Brahman, the Akshara Brahman, is not in Ajnan. Then why is it that I experience the Kam, Krodh, Lobh, limitations? Why the humanity experiences all these difficulties? Why is that? It's basically the question why Maya exists. So the Advaita doesn't really have any answer to that question that is satisfactory. Nobody really does. Because the answer is not going to satisfy us given the fact that our question is coming from limitation. It's like saying, why does darkness exist? So we cannot answer that question, why? I mean, darkness doesn't really have any existence. But in some sense, you can say it does exist. But what is it about andhakar that exists? There's nothing there. So it's the absence of light. So absence of light, is that an existence? We can say it is non-existence. I mean, it's both ways. You can say darkness exists, but you can also say light is not present there. But you can also say darkness doesn't have any existence. Similarly, Maya doesn't have any real existence in relation to the Akshara Brahma. Akshara Brahma is Ek Ras Chidakash. That is the real existence. That is Sanatana. That is eternally existing. That is the Nirakara Swarup of Akshara. So, all of the Upanishads all talk about this, and the Kena Upanishad also states that the concept of ultimate reality, is such that all of the finitude, all of the limitations that we experience, these limitations are within the realm of limited mind. That the eternal self of a human being and that Akshara Brahma, that infinite consciousness, are the same. They're not different. Why are they the same? The drop in the ocean analogy is a good one. We talked about it last time. You see, so as soon as the causal body is vanquished, it's gone. Once the causal body goes, the Atma and the Brahman are one. That this is where the Upanishads basically, they are constantly talking about this in so many different ways. So to be clear, the Kena Upanishad illumines the nature of knowledge by pointing out the eternal knower behind all acts of knowing. And because of that realization, that knower, once that realization comes, what the Kena Upanishad does, it purifies human beings and the concept of ultimate reality. You see, so what it does is that it brings us to a state of complete unitive consciousness. This is the basic teaching in the Upanishad. The unitive consciousness, the interconnection, the solidarity of all of existence. So, Sajanand Swami has accepted all of this, has put all of this together, says, yes, that is true. Yes, that is there. You see? And the realization of the Atma is Jnana. Right, so we will stop here for today. I will continue this subject in the next recording. Today was only a half an hour. We will continue further. There will be a whole series on connection between Advaita Vedanta and Vachanamrut, because as far as I know, I don't think anybody's done that adequately. Maybe somebody has, I don't know. But that is my humble attempt here. We will be going slowly, carefully. Please make comments, ask questions. Right now, in this initial series of recordings on this, we are just trying to understand Advaita as it is. What is meant by that? What is it all about? Where did the whole tradition come from? And where then Sajanand Swami, while accepting Advaita, is going beyond that into Vishishta Advaita. And that might seem like a shocking thing. How can you go beyond the non-dual? So that I'm going to try my best to explain that by the grace of God. It's not about going beyond the non-dual. It is about a further development in Vedanta, which we will be talking about in subsequent recordings. Thank you very much.